As someone who makes a lot of videos about robots, I like to think of myself as a fairly knowledgeable person on the subject. But every now and again I find myself stumped. And I don't mind saying, you gotta get up pretty early in the morning to flummox old Prof, let me tell ya. So with this in mind, I bring you Dragon's Heaven. It's a mecha show, but it's got a very bizarre look to it. And that's about all I have to say about it. At least from a quick overview sort of thing. But it's got a bit more to it than just that under the hood. Stall for time, stall for time, stall for time. You know an OVA is a peculiar little work when one of the first search results is an anime bath wiki? I don't know what's got me off kilter more. The fact that I found it on that site, or the fact that such a wiki exists. But regardless of that, information on this one is sparse at best. What little information I do have on it actually comes from the show itself, which I think is a good thing. It stands to reason that a work of fiction should stand on its own and not require extra work to unravel, and Dragon's Heaven can say with certainty that it does that. That is, so long as you can read French. Dragon's Heaven is an OVA from 1988 that takes place in 3195 in the deserts of Brazil. And boy, let me tell you, human life is not doing very well if Brazil is a desert. Sometime earlier, the robot Cheyenne, a sentient mecha with a space for a human partner in it, was damaged in battle and went into stasis. The war was fought between humans and machines for reasons that are fairly clear when you think about it in the terms of speculative fiction. Why else do machines ever want to kill humans anyway? Either they want freedom, or humans are destroying the planet and machines want to protect them. By murdering them. There is always the Skynet option, but that's becoming increasingly rare as fiction moves away from the idea that humans are pretty awesome. Seriously, comparing sci-fi written in the 50s to the late 70s, there's this idea that humans are generally pretty good and deserve to move through the galaxy and settle it in relative harmony. Then sometime around the cyberpunk movement, you get a lot of stuff that says humans are fearful, shitty creatures that reproduce too fast and chow on resources like termites. I'm not really certain where the line was precisely drawn, and it seems that modern sci-fi walks a careful tightrope nowadays, so food for thought on that.
You know what the best part is? I'm betting most of my followers won't actually even watch this video, so I can just talk about whatever the hell I want. Oh, the unlimited power!
When Cheyenne wakes up, he's discovered by Ikuru, a girl of indeterminate age, but apparently old enough that they can show us her butt. Never change, 80s anime. Never change. They become fast friends, and in spite of there having recently been a massive war between humans and robots, he's allowed to move freely inside this city. But then the machine commander, El Medine, shows back up, and it's time for Cheyenne to go back into action. Cheyenne is damaged after fending them off, but El Medine comes around for another pass, and it's time for Ikuru to go out in some of the most impractical battle armor I have ever seen. This is what makes Dragon's Heaven stand out the most, the designs. They're interesting, but they're also so completely bizarre that it could only really work in anime. I heard the term junk sci-fi thrown around once, and if this doesn't fit into that category, I don't know what does. Near as I've been able to suss out, that means the designs are sort of thrown together without regard to practicality. Where your usual series would tend towards more real or super robot, a junk robot like this doesn't have much going on in the reality department, and God help you if you tried to make a model of it. The animation studio did, and the results are about what you'd expect. This particular OVA is 25 minutes long or so, but it has an extra 15 minutes of design work tacked onto the end, showing how they built the 5-minute opening sequence. It basically is there as a self-congratulatory little tidbit, but hey, it could have been a lot worse. That's really all there is to it. It doesn't really have a lingering legacy. The animation is pretty good, but the story is very much lacking, and the action could use a lot of work. Cheyenne wakes up, meets Ikuru, fights some dudes, and battles his rival in under 25 minutes. The story is so condensed to the point of almost being insulting. I appreciate a story that doesn't waste my time, but this is pushing it for me. But at the same time, how much story could I really stomach in something like this? I actually ended up skipping a fair chunk of this the first time I watched it. Really, aside from being exceptionally pretty, the only reason you'd hunt down and watch Dragon's Heaven is because you saw it on some list somewhere, or you want to prove how cool you are to me. Well, more power to you if you do that, because it is kind of snazzy, even if it's profoundly strange. And, if you dig up a copy somewhere, give me a ring.